Instructions. We have successfully completed the part 1 of fundamental unit, where I have taught you the parts of compound microscope, and we have seen one of the activity, that is temporary mount of onion peel. I think you are thorough with that activity. Shall we proceed to the next part of the lesson, that is chapter 5, fundamental unit of life, part 2. Before we go into the content of part 2, let us have a small activity where we are going to find the similarities among the pictures. I will be showing you 3 pictures. You are going to find out what are the similarities of the pictures. What is this picture? Yes, this is onion. These are the cells of onion. You are going to observe these pictures well, and you are going to find out the similarity among these pictures. The next picture, elephant. These are the cells of elephant. Next is ant. These are the cells of ant. Correct? Now, what are the similarities among these pictures? So, I have taken all the pictures here. Can you find out the similarities among these pictures? I think you would have found out. The first point, what we can conclude from this is all the organisms are made up of cells. Each and every organism, for example, take a small animal like ant, it has cells. Plants have cells. Elephant, the large animal, it has cells. So, each and every animal or an organism, living organism is made up of cell. So, the first point we can say the cell is the structural and functional unit of life, and all organisms are made up of cells. I think you would have found out these points. Now, there is an interesting picture. There is an ant and there is an elephant. So, if I ask which cell is bigger, ant cell is bigger or elephant cell is bigger? Actually, the cells are of same size. Depending on the size of the organism, number of cells will vary. For example, ant is a small organism, so number of cells will be limited in number. If you take elephant, it is larger in size. It does not mean that cell size is large, but the number of cells are more. So, this is what I have given in this slide, that says the cells in an ant and an elephant are about the same size, but the elephant is much larger animal because it has a lot more cells. Now, we derive the third point, that is cells are of same size regardless of the size of animals. So, cell size is not related to the size of the animal. For example, the size of the animal is small means the number of cells will be less. If size of the animal is large, the number of cells will be more. So, that is what we have concluded here. So, once again I will recall 3 points. First point, each and every organism is made up of cell. That sentence, how to write it? Cell is the structural and functional unit of all living organisms. Second one, all organisms are made up of cells, and cell size is not related to the size of the organism. So, these are the 3 points we have learned. With this, we are going to derive cell theory. Before going to cell theory, let us see the more to know. There is a box in your book which says about different discoveries and about the scientist. Let us see some of the scientists and then we will move on to cell theory. So, can you identify this personality? You can recall, yes, he is a famous Robert Hooke. In the year 1665, he discovered cell with his simple microscope. You can recall he used cork. Cork is nothing but the bark of the tree. Yes, with the help of his simple microscope, he focused cork under his simple microscope and he observed the cells in the microscope. Can you guess who is this? He is Anton van Leeuwenhoek. So, he is a person, he discovered this improved microscope. In this image, you can clearly see this improved microscope. So, with his improved microscope, he saw free living cells in the pond water. So you can see in the previous picture, you can see he is using this microscope and this is the pond water kept there. So he is observing the moving cells in the pond water. So his name is Anton von Leeuwenhoek. Next personality or next scientist whom we are going to see is Robert Brown, who discovered nucleus. I think you are familiar with nucleus. Every cell has a controlling center called nucleus. You can see in this picture the center part which controls the parts of the cell is called nucleus. So he is the person who discovered nucleus. The next person is Purkinje. He coined the term protoplasm. Remember, Purkinje starts with P. Protoplasm also starts with P. So who coined the term protoplasm? He is Purkinje. Next, about electron microscope. See, this is a very important discovery which is made especially for the microorganisms, because through electron microscope different organelles in the cell can be visible. For example, after 1940s, Knoll and Ruska are the two scientists who discovered this electron microscope. There are two types of electron microscope. One is called TEM, other one is called SEM. TEM is transmission electron microscope, SEM is scanning electron microscope. So after 1940, using the electron microscope, the scientists were able to study the different organelles in the cell. Now coming to cell theory. Now deriving cell theory will be a very easy task for you. So here we are going to remember three names. The first name is Matthias Schleiden in the year 1838, Theodor Schwann in the year 1839 and Virchow. These 2 points already we have learnt in the game what we have done in the starting of the class, that is finding out the similarities. I will recall the concept. Schleiden said that all plant parts are made up of cells. What Schwann said is all animals are made up of cells. So what is the cell theory? All organisms are made up of cells. Cell is the basic unit of life. That is the second point. Virchow, that is Rudolf Virchow, in the year 1858, he expanded the cell theory and he gave a truth that every cell arises from the pre-existing cells. So cells may not arise as of a suddenly, it will not arise, it will arise from the pre-existing cells. Now we will see the cell theory. So these are the 3 points which comes under cell theory. First one, all living things are made up of cells. Cell is the basic unit of life. Cells arise from the pre-existing cells. So these are the 3 points which comes under cell theory. So 3% you have to remember when we study cell theory. That is Matthias Schleiden, Theodor Schwann and then Rudolf Virchow. So here are the points of cell theory. Now there is a short activity, because continuously if we say the points, if I keep on talking to you, really you will feel bored. Now let us do one activity. I have given match the following, and I have given, because I have given some words in the right hand side and some in the left hand side. You try to match it. Are you ready? The first point is Robert Hooke, free living cells, nucleus, Purkinje and Schwann and Schleiden. Can you try by yourself? In the next slide, I will be giving you the answer. So here are the answers. You all know that Robert Hooke discovered cell. Free living cells was observed by Anton van Leeuwenhoek. Nucleus was discovered by Robert Brown. Purkinje coined the term protoplasm. Schwann and Schleiden, they postulated the cell theory. Can you recall cell theory? Just 3 points. First one, all organisms are made up of cells. Second point, cell is the basic unit of life. Third point, new cells arise from the pre-existing cells. So these are the 3 points which come under cell theory. Now coming to the last part of this class is about unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. So these are some of the examples of unicellular organisms, like bacteria, that is E. coli, Streptococcus, and this is Holobacteria, all protists, that is amoeba, euglena, protozoans, paramecium, algae, chlorella, chlamydomonas, and Saccharomyces cerevisiae. Can you recall what is Saccharomyces cerevisiae? Yes, Saccharomyces cerevisiae is the scientific name of yeast, correct. Now, if you see this picture, what comes to your mind? Actually, when you see this picture, you can easily say this picture tells about multicellular organisms. So, remember a park, a scene of a park. There you can see plants, you can see trees, you can see people, and you can see some dogs and some pet animals there. All these organisms comes under multicellular organisms. So this is the recap of cell theory. Now let us move on to some questions which are given under activity 5.2. Do all cells look alike in terms of shape and size? The answer is no. Shape and size will vary depending on the function. So the size is related to the function of the cell. So the answer is no. Do all cells look alike in structure? No, all the cells will not look alike in structure. Actually, cells which perform the same function will look alike. Third question. Could we find difference among cells from different parts of the plant body? Yes, absolutely. We can find some differences between the cells in different parts of the plant. Now going to the human cells. Those are unicellular organisms we have seen and multicellular organisms we have seen. Now we are going to see about the different cells in human. So you can see the different shapes. This is a red blood cell. We can say it as a sausage shaped cell. It's called red blood cell, and you can see it as a biconvex structure. Biconvex structure is the shape of RBC. Next is columnar epithelial cells. This cell helps in protection. This cilia, this is called ciliated columnar because cilia is present. The small hairs present here are cilia. This is the ovum which helps in fertilization, reproduction. Next one is nerve cell. You can see a long nerve cell. So what is the function of nerve cell? Nerve cell transmits the impulse from one part of the body to other. So the length of the cell helps in transmission of impulses. Next one is bone cell. Bone cell gives rigidity, it gives strength. So we can see that every shape of the cell is related to the function. So in our human body there are many cells. Each cell performs its own function. So they are dividing the work. It is like a team work which is happening in our body. So what is the term we are going to conclude after this slide is division of labor in multicellular organisms. So every cell performs its own function. That is called as division of labor in multicellular organism. You may question me. Okay, division of labor happens in multicellular organism. Whether it happens in unicellular organism, yes, you are right. It will also happen in unicellular organism. So let me complete multicellular organism. In the next class we will be seeing about unicellular organism. So in this multicellular organism, in our human body, there are different organs. You would have seen brain, thyroid gland, thymus gland, kidney, pancreas, intestine, lungs, heart, liver, stomach, excretory system and reproductive system. So every system has its own function. For example, lungs purifies the air, heart helps in pumping and purification and sending the blood to all parts of the body, and then liver helps in detoxification, stomach helps in digestion, excretory system helps in sending out the excretory waste, intestine helps in digestion and absorption, pancreas help in regulating blood sugar, kidneys sending out waste, Thymus gland helps in the production of antibodies. So every cell in our body has its own function. So that is the term division of labor. So if you take in unicellular organisms also, this division of labor happens. So with the help of what? Already there is only one cell there. How division of labor occurs? In single cell there are different organelles in a single cell. For example, Golgi apparatus, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, rough endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes, nucleus, cell membrane, lysosomes, vacuole, centriole, cytoskeleton, that is endoplasmic reticulum. The next one is mitochondria. So there are different organelles present in a cell. Each organelle has its own function. So they will divide the work among themselves. So this is how division of labor happens in unicellular organisms. In the next class, we will be dealing with all these organelles. In the coming classes, I will be teaching you about every organelle and its function. I think this class will be useful to you and you have learned something usefully, and I think you can understand the concepts well. Thank you.